Alright, so in this video we're gonna go through the most important folders of Laravel, and then we're gonna take a look at what we can use them to. So first of all, let's start out with the public folder. So the public folder is where all of our compiled JavaScript and CSS files go into, as well as our index.php file, which we are not gonna touch, but this file basically contains some code that will allow us to load it. We are not actually gonna do anything in here. The reason why we have this public folder is, first of all, to be able to compile the files in here, so everything else is not going to be visible for the user. You will not be able to access this on the public address. So that's why we have this public folder, to keep it more organized and structured for the user. Then we have the database folder. Inside the database folder we have migration files, which is basically, if you have ever worked with migration files before, is basically an organized way to create tables and columns inside your database driver, like MySQL or SQLite or whatever you use. And you can also go in and use seeds factories, but that's a bit more complicated. We're not really going to go through that in this series. Then we have the config file. Not every project uses this, but it's fairly simple to go in and change the configuration file. You will usually do this by installing a third-party dependency. In this series we're not really gonna go into that, but this is basically just different configuration files for the database file system and so on. Inside the bootstrap file we are not gonna touch that, and I don't believe there's many people that do that. This is just where the cache is and a few other things. So then we also have the app folder, which is probably one of the more interesting ones. So the app folder is where we do pretty much most of our backend. Inside our HTTP folder we have middlewares, which basically can run a certain function by when you access a different route. And then we have the controllers, which is where we are going to create different kind of functions that will allow you to, for example, delete something from the database or edit something from the database. And in these files here we are then going to access that via the routes. So basically our routes are accessible inside the routes folder here. In here you can go in and create a route, and then this route will then call a function inside a controller in here. So for example, if we had a controller called home controller, which we can go in and create now. So to do that we can go in and run php artisan make controller home controller. This will basically generate the file for us instead of us having to create a new file. Of course we also have to go into the block folder. So if we go in there now and run this function, what it will do now is it will create a file in here called home controller. So now if we basically go in here, you will see we have this small amount of code. This is basically the default structure of Laravel controller. So it uses the controller file here by extending it. So we can go in here and say public function hello. And in this function we will basically just return hello. So now that that function is created, we can go in here and we can then, technically speaking, go in and create a route that will say get, and then we can name any route. Again, the route will be the one you access in the browser, so that will be www.app.com/whatever route. So you can go in and do like that. Alright, great. So we can go in and call this say hello, and then we can go in and call the controller by saying home controller add hello. So hello is the function we created, this is the name of the controller, and this is basically just to indicate that we are calling this function in here. Then we can close it here. So that means if we go in and access this now by saying hello, we will return hello. in the controller. So except for the resources folder, which is the last folder we are going to look at in this video, I know there's other folders, but those are not really relevant at the moment, at least not for what we're going to be doing. So views folder is where we have all of the HTML and PHP code on the front end. Then we can also go in, it comes pre-installed with Sass, and use Sass in here. And you can also go in and use JavaScript, which has Vue.js as the default framework, which is a JavaScript library framework you can use to go in and create components in that. That's a whole lot of topic, and we're not gonna go into that at all in this series. If you wanna Google it, you can just Google Vue like this, and then you will be able to find a lot about that there. I also have a few videos where I'm using Vue.js at this channel. And that's actually all for this video. And as you guess, the storage folder is just where we store things. So that will be in here. We have storing files and stuff like that that we would upload to the server for some reason. And the vendor folder is, as you might know already, is where we have all the external libraries reload inside Laravel. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching.